The White Sox were swept in New York by the Yankees. No surprise there, but there's plenty to talk about when it comes to how it happened next on Locked On White Sox.
You are Locked On White Sox, your daily Chicago White Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And hello, I'm your host, Todd Welter, a lifelong White Sox fan and the site expert of Southside Showdown, part of the Fansided Network. You can check out my written content at southsideshowdown.com. And also, I've covered Major League Baseball for outlets such as the Associated Press. And well, the Sox, they ran into a buzzsaw in the Bronx as the Yankees shredded their way to a sweep of the White Sox. I'll discuss how the Sox were swept in New York. Then I'll go over the things to watch for when the Sox take on the Blue Jays this week. And finally, the Minor League Monday update. But first, thanks for making Locked On White Sox your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel at Locked On White Sox. Smash that like button. Also follow or subscribe to the show on wherever you get your podcasts. And hey, leave a 5-star review. Well, the White Sox were outscored 17-5 at Yankee Stadium. And you can thank starting pitching for that, as Mike Clevenger, Brad Keller, and Chris Flexen gave up 16 of those 17 runs. The bullpen was about the only bright spot the White Sox had in this series. Tanner Banks was the only relief pitcher to give up a run in the series. Sorry, quick coffee slurp, as you guys know. Love my coffee. Michael Soroka, he pitched his first game out of the bullpen since his demotion to the pen, and in game 2, he was actually pretty good. Pitched 4 strong innings. He did walk 4, but gave up no runs, had 7 Ks, and just 2 hits after Brad Keller was ineffective. Tim Hill and Steven Wilson, they were also good in relief, as was Jared Shuster. But the starters gave the Sox no chance to beat the best team in the American League. Mike Clevenger could only make it through 4 2/3 innings on Friday. Gave up a homer to Aaron Judge, and then 2 more runs in the 4th. That broke a 1-1 tie. Believe it or not, the Sox did have the game tied on Friday, had the lead on Saturday and Sunday. So there was hope. But then it felt like Avengers Endgame, where it was like, please don't give me hope. I felt like Hawkeye a lot during that series. Sox lost 4-2 on Friday. And that was supposed to be the best option the White Sox had to get a victory, was on Friday. But Nestor Cortez, he only gave up 2 runs. He absolutely dominated the Sox lineup. But then again, the rest of the Yankees starting rotation dominated the Sox lineup. Brad Keller, he was rocked for 6 runs, 5 of them earned, 7 hits, with 4 going over the fence on Saturday. Turns out all Juan Soto needed was to face Brad Keller to get out of his slump, as he hit 2 solo home runs. Giancarlo Stanton, he hit a homer off of Keller, as that was his 2nd straight game he had a homer against the White Sox. And Stanton had a huge series for the Yankees too. And the Sox lost 6-1. Although we won't have Brad Keller to kick around, he was DFA'd yesterday. Should have never been signed in the first place. That was just a waste of time. But then again, the White Sox are wasting our time with guys like Brad Keller and Mike Clevenger. But we'll get into and a little bit later in the Minor League Monday report about maybe a young arm is coming up soon. Chris Flexen, he was ineffective against the Yankees on Sunday. He gave up 7 earned runs, 8 hits, walked 1, and struck out 4. Looks like he's back to being a bad starting pitcher. He had that 3-game stretch before his past two starts where he was very, very good on the mound. Ironically, though, two of those three starts came against the Tampa Bay Rays. So Chris Flexen should petition the league to face the Rays for the rest of the season. He's got their number, but he did not have the Yankees number at all. Gave up a 3-run blast to Joe Birdie. It was Joe Birdie's first home run of the season in the fourth, and then a 2-run shot to Aaron Judge in the fifth, and the Sox lost 7-2. So basically, the Sox could not limit the impact of Judge, Soto, and Stanton. They're three big sluggers, and they got bad starting pitching. And when you're the worst team in the American League facing the best team in the American League, you can't have that combination. And then to top it off, bad base running cost them on Friday and especially on Sunday. Sox had a chance to jump out to a big inning on former pitcher Carlos Rodon in the second inning. Rodon gave up a homer to Corey Julks. He then walked Corey Lee, and Lee crossed home when Zach Remillard tripled. But Remillard never made it home as he was eventually picked off at third, basically caught napping. There was like a check swing on Martin Maldonado. They called over to the umpire to to the first base to see if he swung. And Remillard did not go back to third. He was just he was staring at the first base umpire too, and he gets picked off. And then, of course, what does Martin Maldonado do? He does what he does best. He gets out. And that was the Rodon only gave up 2 runs to get a little bit of revenge on his former team. But besides the bullpen, there was a couple good performances worth pointing out. Julks, he went 2 for 3 with a walk on Sunday. Also robbed a home run. He was outstanding. Also had a hit on Friday. And hey, maybe send a message to Andrew Benintendi and bench him and play Julks a little bit more. Because Benintendi went 1 for 9. Tommy Pham, he had a big series. He went 3 for 5 on Friday with a run, 2 for 4 on Saturday with a run. Only had a walk on Sunday. But still, his slash line since entering the lineup in late April is 333, 379, 481. Imagine if Tommy Pham was on the 2022 White Sox or the 2023 White Sox. I think the 2022 White Sox, he would have probably had his biggest impact. That team just lacked leadership, lacked discipline. He definitely would have had an impact on that team. Andrew Vaughn, he was good on Friday, had 2 RBI hits, but then went hitless the rest of the series. And well, you probably had a feeling this was going to happen in New York. So hey, let's flush it, everybody, as Pedro would say. Let's move on to the Sox' next opponent, the Toronto Blue Jays, and discuss if the Sox can get back to playing decent baseball like they were before the Yankee series. Next on Locked On White Sox. A couple of years back, my wife and I shot for life insurance, and man, how I wish I knew about Policygenius back then. My wife and I wanted that safety net when we were expecting, especially since our 9 to 5 policy wasn't going to follow me since I made a career change. Well, I'm still getting annoying letters and calls from agents that are trying to sell me a policy. That is why I should have gone with Policygenius. With Policygenius, you can find life insurance policies that start at $292 per year for $1 million of coverage. Some options offer same-day approval and avoid unnecessary medical exams. Policygenius helps you compare your options from top companies, and their team of licensed experts is on hand to help you talk you through it. They have no incentive to recommend one insurer over the other, so you can trust their guidance. Check life insurance off your to-do list in no time with Policygenius. Head to policygenius.com/lockedonmlb or click the link in the description to get your free life insurance quotes and see how much you could save. That's policygenius.com/lockedonmlb. And one of my favorite non-sports sites I love to hit up is Yahoo Finance, which happens to be our sponsor today. Seriously though, I love the news, analysis, tips they give me when it comes to helping me manage my 401k. The best thing about Yahoo Finance is you don't need an economics degree to understand their content. Before I buy or sell anything regarding my Roth IRA or 401k, you better believe I'm looking up Yahoo Finance. How do you think I found the best advice to make sure I have a portfolio that has a nice percentage of dividend paying stocks? And then what stocks to buy? Yahoo Finance. Yahoo Finance has been around for over 25 years. Whether you're a seasoned investor or someone who has just started a 401k, Yahoo Finance has the holistic view and breaking news plus independent research. You want financial freedom or a comfortable retirement someday? Yahoo Finance is going to help. For comprehensive financial news and analysis, visit the brand behind every great investor, yahoofinance.com. The number one financial destination, yahoofinance.com. That's yahoofinance.com. And are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? Have to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Make the switch to Lockdown Sports Today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all that screaming. Lockdown Sports Today brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Lockdown Podcast Network, your team every day. And the White Sox are north of the border today as they start a three-game series with the Blue Jays. First pitch is at 2:07 Central. Catch every pitch of the White Sox hometown broadcast with Sirius XM on the SXM app. Search White Sox. And welcome back to Lockdown White Sox. I'm your host, Todd Welter, and thank you for making the show your first listen. Lots of great White Sox podcasts out there. I know there's Sox Machine from the 108, White Sox Talk, Sox in the Basement, Good Guys Talk Back, CHGO White Sox. There's a lot of great ones out there. I just hope I'm the first one you take in. And hey, make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel at Lockdown White Sox. Smash that like button. Also, follow or subscribe to the show on wherever you get your podcasts and leave a 5-star review. So the White Sox are now in Toronto to face the Blue Jays. And it's a place where the White Sox last won on August 26th of 2021. The Blue Jays are 20-25, dead last in the AL East. And maybe the Jays are still reeling from Shohei Ohtani using them as leverage. If you guys don't remember, there was that rumor out there that John Morosi reported that Ohtani was on a flight towards Toronto ready to sign a deal. Turns out it was the flight for one of the guys from Shark Tank. And later Ohtani signs with the Dodgers. Could you imagine Ohtani on the Blue Jays though? Canada would still be a hockey country. But the Jays are underachieving this season. Pacoda projected them to win 88 games. And kind of what you need to know about the Jays. I reached out to Braden from Lockdown Jays. Trust me, our schedules were not going to mesh up to do a crossover today. Basically, he tells me, though, I mean, we did exchange an email. He does tell me that the Jays don't score more than 4 runs. It's very rare if they score higher than 4 runs. Starting pitching is their bright spot. So the Sox have to get to the Blue Jays bullpen. Davis Schneider, that's the big news. He's now in the leadoff spot as George Springer has really struggled. Although he does say Vlad Jr., Bo Bichette, and Springer are starting to look better, but it's more game to game. And then I reached out to Erick Truden of Jays Journal. He's the site expert there, the fan site network. So that's the nice thing is you guys can read my content on Southside Showdown, but I also have resources to at least 2 avenues to get you guys informed. So he basically tells me George Springer has been horrendous in the leadoff spot, even though he's one of the best leadoff hitters in history. Bo Bichette, he says, is a shell of the player he once was, having a horrible year. but he's slowly turning around. Same with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Alejandro Kurt's bat has disappeared, but he's been pretty good on defense. Danny Jansen is finally healthy, but he's obviously not a great fielder. But at least the Jays have a good balancing tandem. Imagine having one catcher that could hit and one catcher that could play defense, instead of having one catcher that can do both and the other one knows how to do mound visits. That's what the Sox have right now. Um, Erick sees the starting pitching staff actually as being rough to watch, and the manager is on the hot seat. When it comes to offense, this is not going to be an offensive thrilling game. The Jays are 24th in average, 18th in on base percentage, 25th in slug, 27th in homers, 29th in runs, and they've lost two. They've lost 3 of their past 5 games. And you got to remember, the White Sox are dead last in team batting average, on base, slug, homers, and runs. Oh boy, this is probably going to be like that Cardinals series. That was the last time the Sox played an equally horrendous offensive team. But if Vlad Jr., Bichette and Springer continue to rediscover themselves, that puts the advantage to the Blue Jays. Pitching wise, the Jays are 21st in team ERA, 23rd in an opponent's batting average, 26th in strikeouts. The Sox are 27th, 18th, and 19th, respectively. But here's the biggest factor for the White Sox: it's Erick Fedde and Garrett Crochet. They need to be those stoppers / ace pitchers for the White Sox if they have any chance of not having a prolonged losing streak and finally winning in Canada. Which, by the way, Tim Hortons, I'm going to say it, overrated. Yeah, I know I might lose some audience members in Canada, but it's overrated. It's like Dunkin' Donuts. I'm sorry. And in America, we have Krispy Kreme. Krispy Kreme is amazing. That is an amazing donut. We have bakeries. Those are amazing donuts. See, I've had to go to Canada a few times, and they were always telling me, "Oh, you got to get Tim Hortons. You got to get Tim Hortons." Like it's the only donut ever created. And I had it. It's a donut, and it's coffee. But it's not like I was eating like the holy, something that was like, you know, touched by God. I didn't even be like, I have seen the face of God. It wasn't like eating bacon. And bacon should be strips. And that is my rant on Canada. Although honestly, I do. I love Toronto. Been there a few times. Great city. Kind of reminds me of like a combination of Chicago and Seattle. Anyways, Fedde, he has a 2.60 ERA. The Sox have won the last 4 times he has started, and the Sox have won the last 3 times Crochet has started. And that's because both of them have been brilliant on the mound. And the Sox are going to need that. They need those two to step up and continue to pitch great if the White Sox have any chance of winning. Because as we saw in New York, the offense can easily go non-existent. And you've seen the times when the Sox are competitive. It's when usually Fedde and Crochet are pitching in a series. Because you see the pitching talent drops off immensely after those two. I know Chris Flexen, like I said, he's had 3 good starts. But he was also demoted to the bullpen, and he's been pitching more like the guy who's been demoted to the bullpen. Mike Clevenger cannot get through 5 innings. And Brad Keller was just DFA'd. Now, does Michael Soroka go back into the rotation? Well, we'll discuss that actually. That's part of our minor league Monday report. The Sox made some big minor league news yesterday, and we'll discuss it next on Locked On White Sox. Hey, are you struggling to close deals? B2B selling is tougher than ever, and that's why I want to tell you about LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Now, you might be thinking, isn't LinkedIn more useful for finding jobs or networking? Well, it's also designed for things like LinkedIn Sales Navigator because it can help you network. LinkedIn Sales Navigator is there for professionals to effectively prospect and engage high value customers, drive higher revenue, and increase sales performance. You want to find the right buyers? Sales Navigator shows you hidden allies so you can find those buyers that are most likely to convert. LinkedIn has over a billion users, and trust me, you can find the people, you can find those people that you need to network with. How do you think I found this hosting gig? LinkedIn. So let LinkedIn help you do more, like unlock conversations with people that matter when it comes to getting those sales you need. Right now, you can try LinkedIn Sales Navigator and get a 60-day free trial at linkedin.com/locked on. That is linkedin.com/locked on for a 60-day free trial. Let LinkedIn Sales Navigator help you sell like a superstar today. Just go to linkedin.com/locked on and get started. And the White Sox are north of the border today as they start a 3-game series with the Blue Jays. First pitch is at 2:07 Central. Catch every pitch of the White Sox hometown broadcast with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Search White Sox. And welcome back into Locked On White Sox. I am your host, Todd Welter. And if you're sticking with me so far, I really appreciate it, especially you everydayers. Hope you had a good weekend. Mine was spent watching some White Sox baseball, running some errands, spending time with the family, getting crushed on Twitter by White Sox Twitter. Man, White Sox Twitter was cranky. Big reason for that was on Friday, John Triffin. Um, basically, I I think he started a feud with 670 The Score. Now I've been told because I wrote about it on Southside Showdown, and I put the title, Triffin starts a feud, and they're like, no, no, he finished it. Well, he called, Gordon Beckham had a flub, and he basically said, those radio losers might clip it because they made fun of how he mispronounced Bill Veck or Veek. Again, see, I did it wrong. So again, it's not the end of the world, but again, you should know if you're the play-by-play announcer, you should know how to pronounce one of the most important names in White Sox history. On the flip side, did the Score need to dedicate an entire segment? No. But then on the flip side, does Striffen need to take that shot of calling them losers? That's why I think he started the feud. Make friends, John. And then people got on me for writing about like 2 reasons why the White Sox will never get Juan Soto. Just one, it's Jerry Reinsdorf. Yeah, I put that in there, and hey, I felt like putting some content in. There's nothing wrong with that. And also, it's because also the Yankees are not going to let Juan Soto out of New York. So even if there wasn't Jerry, the Yankees probably aren't going to let him out. Everybody was just cranky. So hopefully everybody has a good week. So in terms of it's Mondays, I like to do a little minor league Monday. The biggest news regarding the Sox farm system is top pitching prospect Noah Schultz. He's getting a promotion to Double A. Sox on 35th had a really good write up on that. Schultz had a 3.95 ERA in 27 and a third innings over 7 starts at high A. The Sox were limiting him to 1 start a week, and he could only go 4 innings. But he's getting the move up to Double A. What's the corresponding move? James Fox of Future Sox at James Fox 917. He thinks Nick Nastorini is going to go to the White Sox, and then with Drew Thorpe headed to Charlotte, would be his expectation. Somebody's got to cover for Brad Keller being DFA'd. Although Chuck Garfien, He tweeted out about 9 hours ago at Chuck Garfien, told the White Sox aren't planning on promoting anyone from this rotation yet in terms of Double A Birmingham. Because Double A Birmingham, boy, does that got some pitching. Garfien tweeted that. You got Drew Thorpe with a 1.50 ERA, Kai Bush 2.09, Mason Adams 2.52, Uriarte's at 2.89, Jake Eder at 5.24. And Uriarte dominated yesterday, 13 strikeouts, 1 walk in 7 innings. But if Nastrini gets the call up, he last pitched on May 16th for the AAA Charlotte against AAA Durham. He had 6 innings, 4 earned runs, with 3 coming via the long ball, 7 hits, 5 Ks, 2 walks. But his 2 other starts in May, he's given up just 2 earned runs. The other option for the Sox to call up to fill Brad Keller's spot would be, and then have Thorpe move up to AAA, would be Jonathan Cannon. He also last pitched on May 16th. It was a doubleheader. He went 5 innings, 1 earned run, 3 hits, 3 walks, 5 Ks. He's given up 4 earned runs in each of his other 2 May starts. So I don't think the Sox could go wrong with either Nastrini or Cannon. My fear is, though, they're going to put Soroka back in the starting rotation, and they're just going to go with a 6-man rotation in Birmingham, since Schultz has pretty much been limited to 4 innings this year. Speaking of Drew Thorpe, though, he's earned a promotion. He last pitched on May 18th for Double A Birmingham, 5 2/3 innings, no runs, just 2 hits, 7 Ks, and 2 walks. He's had two other outings, or another outings, where he's given up no runs. So he's had 2 outings where he's given up nothing. And his other outing, he gave up 3 runs. He's got nothing left to accomplish at Double A. And then Sox top prospect, Colson Montgomery. Right now, he's at a 228, 343, 414 slash line at AAA. Went 1 for 4 with a walk and scored twice on May 14th. Played well in Game 1 of the doubleheader on May 16th, as he went 2 for 3 with a double and a run. 0 for 4 in Game 2, though, of that doubleheader. And he was 1 for 5 with an RBI yesterday. And again, if you really want good minor league content, and I just defer to them because they do a really great job, Sox on 35th or Southside Sox. Go to them. They got some dedicated guys and girls, or dedicated women, that really follow the Sox farm system. I really appreciate the content that they have. Sox on 35th have the Future Sox guys. That's another one. Listen to that podcast after you listen to me, please. Because again, the hope of this team right now is the farm system and those starting pitchers. Well, all right, that wraps up this edition of Locked On White Sox. Before I go, Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Now it's also available on the Amazon Fire TV, in the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today now available on the free Fire TV channels app. And I'll be back tomorrow to hopefully not talk about the Sox losing to the Jays. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube page at Locked On White Sox. Smash the like button and give a 5-star review on wherever you get your podcasts. And let me know your thoughts on today's topics regarding the Sox getting swept by the Yankees, what to watch for against the Blue Jays, and this week's Minor League Monday report. You can leave them on Twitter at ToddJDub or email me at lockedonwhitesox@gmail.com. Have a great day. See you tomorrow.